Well, hey guys, welcome to Hope Rescue Podcast. It's your favorite hosts and the only hosts of Hope Rescue Podcast.
Do we have any other hosts that could back us up?
Well, you know, we've pulled some family members in and they do it because they're obligated, but mostly it's just you and me.
You know what I realized? By the by, speaking of hosts, we are now in our 6th year.
Wow, that's crazy. We're old.
Yeah, you are. Your mom is.
It's gone by so fast. That's pretty wild.
It has gone fast.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And we've been
a lot is
covering so many different topics through the years. Let's see, 200, how many episodes have we done?
200. In a couple of weeks, we'll hit 210. So we're on 208.
So that would be my phone. And you know what, folks? Welcome to the real world. I'm just going to turn that ringer off.
Sometimes we forget these things. We're the hosts that forget things.
You know what would have been awesome is if I answered it. It's our daughter, Shara, speaking of family members.
Hey, why don't you speak to the group? No.
Everybody say hi to my grandson. I'm sure you want to.
You know, I did that one time with my mom.
You did?
I was on live radio, and my mom called my phone, so we patched her in.
Oh.
And it was great.
See, I think that's fun. We could do that sometime, but I don't think anybody wants to talk to our grandkids. Actually, I was in Target like 2 days ago, and Shara FaceTimed me, which we do every day. And so basically she and my grandson went shopping with me. Now, these are Nana things that you do where you just like do a live video so everybody around you can hear and see your grandson.
Yeah.
It's probably not a great idea.
With social media, it gets carried away. Let's just be honest. You see my food, you see my grandson, you see my granddaughter walking. Okay, she's not very good, but everybody doesn't want to see that. Anyway.
Well, we're grateful to be grandparents, which is that's my segue. How good was that?
That's a beautiful segue. So speaking of gratitude,
yes,
thank you for that. We are talking about the essential character traits for all relationships. And we have gone over patience, confidence, self-esteem, passion, optimism, flexibility, humility, respect. And this week we're on gratitude, which was going to be the last one, but we forgot one, and that is encouragement. So next week we're going to get into that,
which we made jokes about last week because it was a 9-part series, and we're struggling with the idea that there wasn't 10, and everybody else struggles with it too.
Yeah.
So we did that for all of you out there that are neat freaks and need ADHD.
ADHD, I don't even know.
And you need to have things in order and all of that. So we hit the round number 10.
Yeah. So gratitude, how does it impact your relationships? We did some study on this. We came up with some surprising things about gratitude. But before we get into that, you know, there is so much scripture on gratitude. Mm-hmm. It really is a huge matter, or huge issue for every human being, but especially for believers.
It's foundational for life.
Yes,
it's a foundational life skill.
Well, one of the passages that we looked at, and there are just many, is out of Colossians 3. And Kimberly, if you read that in just a minute, I want you to listen as Kimberly's reading this. It's talking about relationships, talking about being kind and humble and so forth, but it's also talking about forgiving. Mm-hmm. And then all of it ends up with this one word, thankful. So listen as she reads this and think about the power of gratitude in all your relationships.
So again, it's Colossians 3:12, and it says, "Put on then, as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience, bearing one another, and if one has a complaint against another, forgiving each other. As the Lord has forgiven you, so also you must forgive. And above all these things, put on love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. And let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to which indeed you were called in one body, and be thankful."
So see that key word, thankful, ties all of this together. You know, your peace in Christ, your dealing with each other. If you have a complaint, if you're grateful, you can release that complaint. Mm-hmm. You just forgive it. You know, somebody owes you money and there's a tension about it.
Right.
You know what? If you're really grateful, Now, there are times to demand payment and so forth. I'm not ignoring that. But there is a powerful position to have where you're grateful. You're so grateful that you go, you know what, if they don't pay me back, whatever.
Right. I feel like if we could put like a definition, if you were to look up in Webster's what gratitude meant to our daily living, it would basically mean today is enough.
Yeah.
Today is enough.
We've been saying that over the years. And if you've been listening to this podcast, we talk about gratitude a lot, mainly because I'm relearning life. And
we're always relearning.
Yeah, we are. But I'm relearning life and learning to be grateful because gratitude dislodges anxiety, fear, all of that. But we've been saying today is enough. If you can learn to say today is enough, it's a powerful thing. There's a concern, though, that if you say today is enough, especially people that are in business or people that want to achieve or be productive, they feel like, well, maybe this will produce complacency in my life. And I'll be complacent, which takes away all the motivation. But when you learn this, think about this. When you're grateful, healthy motivation is not based on greed or not having enough. Healthy motivation is based on excellence and purpose. I want to be excellent because God has called me to be excellent. I want to have purpose because that's what drives my whole life. And instead of saying, I want more money, I want more power, I want more influence, you're grateful for what you already have, but you're motivated to do more because of excellence and the purpose driving your life.
It sounds overly simplified, but it's recognizing that I am blessed. I am grateful today to be a blessing. So taking those things that God has given you to then motivate you to be a blessing with those giftings, with your skills, all of those things. That's the heart of gratitude. So
yeah, one of the things that I would share if you are in business or if you have people that work with you or it works for you as well, is remind your people and remind yourself that gratitude helps goal-oriented people. Because what it does is it says, and I struggle with this, I'm going to be honest, and Kimberly reminds me all the time about this, but goal-oriented people have a tendency to look at the ultimate goal and not celebrate the wins along the way. If you can celebrate the wins along the way, that will make your journey toward the ultimate goal more satisfying, but also the discouragement will come in. And what gratitude does is it says, today's enough. What I accomplish toward that goal is just one step at a time. Really a powerful way to live. So if you're a pastor or maybe you're a mom or a dad and you want your kids to turn out well and you're going, I look forward to when they're 30 or when they're 25 and they're mature. Listen, look at the wins along the way, the things that are accomplished, and be grateful for them.
Right.
It's
I
a
feel
really
like
powerful way to live.
Like if you spend your days and you're intentional about gratitude, it's almost like it creates a pause and a placeholder in your life to be able to acknowledge and appreciate how far you've come. And then moving forward, you're not, we've always talked about how we get so stuck in the yesterdays of our life, anguishing over things we have no power to change at that point. And then we get so anxious about accomplishing things in the future, but it's like a placeholder. It's like a pause of appreciation and gratitude.
Yeah. And I think that's what is driving a lot of people to misery is that they can't celebrate that win. And, when you're looking for a goal that's so far away, you can't run a marathon in 3 steps. It's multiple steps, obviously. And when you celebrate the win, you can sleep better at night. You can enjoy what you have and so forth. So that's what gratitude does for us.
Yes. A few more things that it does for us is, especially if you're someone who wrestles with the yesterdays, gratitude dislodges things like envy, like greed, anger.
Who has greed?
Bitterness or frustration. Those things build up because of unforgiveness and because of lacking in a heart of gratitude. It helps to dislodge those. Gratitude is the antidote to self-pity because you can't feel bad about your life and circumstances and yourself when your focus is gratefulness and thankfulness.
Yeah. The
It's impossible
antidote-
to do both.
Say that again. Gratitude is
Yeah,
what?
gratitude is the antidote to self-pity.
Yeah, think about that.
Mm-hmm.
If you are feeling sorry for yourself, it's because you're not evaluating all the blessings you already have.
Right.
That's a really
Right.
powerful way to live.
Right. And just to that note, it's interesting because this week I love to thrift shop. Those who know me know that I'm a
does
treasure
she
hunter.
ever.
And I've done it since I was a little girl with my daddy. My mama wanted nothing to do with it. But
And neither does your husband.
I'm a treasure hunter, and I raised 5 treasure hunters. And in our 7 kids, there's 5 of them that love to treasure hunt. And so they're raising their kids to do that too, which is so fun. But this last week, it was so just not even knowing the topic that we were going to be covering today. I found this beautiful wooden box. And I mean, it is probably like, I would say 10 inches by 10 inches, perfectly square, solid wood, beautiful hinges. And I'd already drawn to that box, you know, but I noticed there is an engraved label on the top. And so I go to look at it with my glasses, of course, and it says, it says God box on it. And I thought, wow, God box. Like, what is this? Somebody spent a lot of money and time creating this box. And so I naturally put it in my cart. Well, then I'm a Google girl. So I always like Google.
You're a Google girl?
But when you're a treasure hunter.
Isn't that a band? Isn't that a girl band, the Google Girls?
You go searching for things online to find out what's the story behind this. Anyway, it was created. It's godbox.com, not to send a plug, but it's a good one. And the whole point of this box.
You can buy those online?
Yeah. The whole point of this box, in fact, it's sitting within 3 feet of us because I've kept it close to my breakfast nook where we have our devotions every morning. And it's a place to be able to write down, it's a box of gratitude, the answered prayers that you've sought the Lord for. Yeah. And what a beautiful, practical way to be able to remember and memorialize. And I'm just, to that point of being the antidote of self-pity, when you start to feel the natural inclination, our human inclination to struggle with self-pity or anguish or sorrow over the past, if you have something like that where you've actually written down answers to your prayers, you can't stay stuck in that place. Yeah. Gratitude floods over your soul.
Yeah, we're going to talk about journaling. But what an interesting way to do that.
Yeah.
What a creative way to do it, to have a God box.
Right.
This is all the good stuff.
And I also feel what I love about that is it's something to pass forward to your children someday as a family, like to say, someday our grandkids will have that box and be able to, it's like a memorial.
Why don't we get the Hope Rescue podcast God box and sell them at an increased, wait a minute, what am I talking about? Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry, everybody. Sorry, I got carried away there. So gratitude is the antidote for self-pity. What's the next one?
So grateful people draw people to them. Yeah. There's a natural, it's who they are. There's this attraction, not because of their physicality, but because of their heart. And so when and you all know somebody like that who leans into a heart of gratitude and tends to be able to see the positive in life, they draw people to them. Mm-hmm. It's a powerful attractor is the word.
Yeah. I've met a lot of very successful business people, and it's interesting. The people that are successful monetarily, people are impressed with them. I'm only impressed with somebody who has, whether they've attained a lot or a little or medium or whatever, but when they're grateful, it's really attractive. You want to be around those people. But sometimes it creates people that are not grateful. It's kind of a turnoff. Mm-hmm. They're not attractive.
Yeah, so, it's like the Eeyore kind of thing, Yeah, they can have good things happening, but they're just going to lean always into the negative.
Yeah. It's an okay tale.
Yeah, it's like a heavy weight comes over you just being around someone that's always that way,
Another thing that gratitude does for us is gratitude improves our self-esteem. Think about that. So if your self-esteem is low, now, I don't believe that we need to have a high self-esteem. I think we need to have a healthy self-esteem. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to necessarily think you're the greatest. That's not the goal. The goal is to have a good, healthy self-esteem. But if you have a defeated, I'm no good, self-esteem, that low self-esteem comes from the fact that you're not grateful. When we have a drive for more, it tells us that we are less. In other words, I need to fix the deficiency in my life by having more success, more money, more whatever. And so gratitude improves our self-esteem. If we can go, you know what I have? This is great. And I've shared this before. As I've gone around the world into third world countries, in many cases, we don't call them that anymore, emerging countries or the global south. But anyway, the countries where poverty is more pronounced, I've seen people that are intensely grateful for what we would consider abject poverty. And
Absolutely.
it's really a powerful thing to see that. And their self-esteem is really healthy because they realize I have everything I need. Another thing, gratitude improves our physical health. And you go, wait a minute, how does that affect our physical health? And here's an interesting thing. We're looking at a study, and I'm trying to remember what university did this study. I'm thinking it was Harvard, but maybe not. Anyway, a study was done of a few thousand people about gratitude, and gratitude caused people to interpret their physical. Well, there's your daughter again. So oh, that's FaceTime or something. So anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm grateful that she's calling, just not during this podcast. But anyway, gratitude improves our physical health in this. And this is what the study said, is that we have a tendency to reinterpret our physical limitations, such as, a pain or, a knee or a hip that's bothering us. And it drives us to eat better nutrition, and better physical exercise. And so in a real practical way, gratitude drives this physical health.
Right.
So, and then finally, the other thing that gratitude does, and then we'll get into how to develop gratitude, but one of the things the final thing that gratitude improves our mental health. And I can't, Kimberly mentioned this up top that, gratitude really dislodges a lot of our struggles, whether it's
anguish, bitterness,
those things,
anger. Yeah.
So gratitude improves our mental health. Fear has a difficult time residing in a grateful heart. When you're grateful, fear subsides.
Yeah.
If you have kind of a permeating grateful heart, fear can't abide in that heart.
Right.
And fear, I've shared this before, but fear, I believe, is the matrix for all negative emotions. If you can find the fear in your life, you will fix the problem in your life. Fear is the driver of all kinds of psychological problems and emotional problems. And so what our suggestion is, if you have a permeation of gratitude in your heart, it will defeat that
Absolutely.
Fear that drives other psychological problems.
So you may have the question then, how do I develop gratitude? Now, we use the word develop because it doesn't always come natural. Even for positive-minded people, you have to create patterns in your neural pathways and be intentional to develop a mindset of gratitude and gratefulness. Right. And one of the things that you touched on really quickly was how important it is to journal. That's been a huge tool in your life to be able to keep you in a place of being thankful and grateful. And we talked about the God box, another practical way, but it's about focusing repeatedly on what you have, and that creates a grateful heart to the Lord. And I think a practical way would be just to start with 3 to 5 things, that you can think of, even in your drive home, and I would say, hopefully you're a Christ follower. If you're not, you can be thankful, but thankful to who? So I think it's important to be grateful to the Lord. Speak to him the things that you're grateful for specifically, giving him the honor and the glory for those things that he's accomplished in your life, because being thankful and having a grateful heart is wonderful. And that's going to, like we've talked about, bring attractiveness to other people, and people are going to want to be around you, your effectiveness in business. But maybe anchoring your gratefulness to the one who's given you those things is really key. You're doing two things. You're communicating with your creator, and it's also creating that pattern of gratefulness. So come up with 3 or 5 things. Get used to intentionally in those moments when you're feeling kind of down and out, or something's gone sideways, which life does to us every day, whether it's someone cutting you off, or your check didn't get into your account like it was supposed to on the day it was supposed to, or just the small things that go sideways, and then the really big things, the heartbreaks of life, still in that moment say, God, thank you for these 3 things. Thank you for my children, that are here to support me. Thank you for, that I can feel your presence in this moment, that I have someone to talk to, and just real practical ways.
Well, if you think about this, if you will do just this exercise, as Kimberly mentioned about the 5 things, if you will reset, Scripture says His mercies are new every morning. Come up with new things to be grateful for, even if it's a good cup of coffee.
Right. So, oh my gosh. Yeah. It's the simple things. It's the simple things, for sure.
So another way to develop gratitude is intentionally speak words of gratitude. In other words, when you may be negative, and some of us tend towards negativity, some of us tend towards positivity, but intentionally make the words that come out of your mouth gratitude. Focus on that person you're talking to. What are you grateful for to them? What are you grateful for in life? And just tell them what you're grateful for. And then the third thing we would say, and this is probably maybe the most permeating thing you can do because it affects your whole being, is thank God for who He is and what He's done. Think about who He is. God is great, almighty, potentate. That's not a word we use, is it? He's in charge of everything. He's sovereign and so forth. And, thankful for who He is, and then also thankful for what He's done in your life. That's what we call worship. Worship isn't listening to music or singing music. It can be part of that, can be a vehicle for worship. But worship is when you focus on who God is and what He's done. And that's a powerful way to live. That's how we develop gratitude.
Right. Number 4 is just pray that God will cause your heart to be grateful, that He will motivate your heart in that direction. Ask for His help in that process if you struggle with that. Number 5 is reinterpretation of history. So that sounds kind of weird just saying that. But it's
people
learning
do that to their own advantage.
I would like to call it reframing history in your mind. It doesn't mean that you change the facts necessarily, but your perspective on the facts. In other words, you're intentionally not focusing on how you were wronged, who wronged you, all of those things, but on the things that you've learned about that process, how to set boundaries, how to, stand up for yourself in a healthy way. Like if you're talking about conflict, but there's ways to be able to reroute those neural pathways of your brain in a way that is productive for your life as well as others. Number 6, redirect your soul. Psalms 42:11 says, "Why are you cast down, O my soul? And why are you in turmoil within me? Hope in God, for I shall again praise Him, my salvation and my God." So hope in God. It's like you speak to yourself. This the author of this passage in Psalms is speaking to himself, to his own soul, saying, challenging his soul with, don't be in turmoil, but hope in God. That's where our hope comes from.
Yeah, David did this a lot. He would talk to his soul. And another passage we have, and we'll close with this: "Bless the Lord, O my soul." So telling my soul to bless the Lord. This is what we think. We think life happens to us.
Right.
And things in life do happen to us. But the reality is we can respond. We're in control of the response, but it needs to be the directing of the soul. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless His holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul. Forget not all His benefits. Think about all the things He's done. What are all the benefits? You're directing your soul. You have the power to do that. Today, this is what we want you to do today, is just kind of think about 4 or 5 things that God has done in your life. Maybe you're married to an awesome person. Maybe you have a beautiful, person that is your child, or maybe you have a
friend,
home you enjoy. Yeah, anything.
A car, a cup of coffee.
Yeah, a car that gets you to the place. It may not
That's
be
right.
the best car,
Yeah.
but it gets you there. And it can be simply anything, and say, my soul, focus on that. Don't focus on the negative.
Right.
Focus on that. You have the power to do that. And God does bless our soul when we do this. So we have the capacity to really overcome.
Yeah.
So be thankful, be grateful. And next week, we'll talk about our number 10 thing that we can do to really make our relationships great, and that's encouragement. So I encourage you to come back next week on Hope Rescue Podcast at hoperescuepodcast.org. We'll see you then.
Bye, guys.